Hello, we're going to take a look at the recipe and recipe card and what's involved with setting one up and viewing it. So as you can see, we have a list of all of our recipes in the system, at least that I have set up. You can also see that we have some real-time inventory on the fly. So we don't have any buttered beets at the moment, but we have some mashed potatoes and some cabbage. So I'm actually going to scroll down and work on the Italian combo sandwich because it shows some of the portioning and changes of recipes and costing pretty easily. Notice you're also seeing some details of the recipe on the fly, but we're just going to drill into this and actually do some work. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, you can see on the screen some details of the recipe, but I really want to print out typically the ending point, which in our case will be the starting point. And I'm going to show a recipe, and I'm going to show this at a single portion, so in this case a sandwich. And then I'm actually going to reprint it and scale it up so you can kind of see how that looks in the real world. So here we go. Here we have Italian combo sandwich, outstanding signature Italian sub. Notice the wheat allergen. Here's some labeling information, no additional labeling requirements. Here's your HACCP notes. Here's your instructions. And most importantly, here are the details of your sandwich, ultimately with the cost per sandwich of $2.33. This actual item has a work in process or a sub recipe. So sliced tomatoes get added to the sandwich, and we're also slicing those tomatoes up on another recipe that is comprised of a hothouse. So we're not going to go there right now, but just so you can kind of get the idea. So that is what the recipe card looks like. As I mentioned earlier, for purposes of demonstration, we're going to say typically we make 100 at a time. So here's what you might actually print and have in your recipe binder. So once again, same recipe, but now you see it automatically portioned up, and it's easy to see in this case for a sandwich, 100 rolls, 10 pounds of ham, turkey, turkey, bologna, lettuce, so on and so forth. Total cost for 100 subs. I also, as you're working with the recipe, this is also another interesting view. It's the bill of material recipe cost share. So this is showing of that recipe, most of the cost is coming from the bologna and ham. The rolls, tomato and mayo, lettuce add a little bit to the cost. Also notice there is not any labor or overhead attributed to this recipe. You could. That's why I kind of wanted to show this. So in our recipe, it's just the pure raw materials. But note, you could have labor, overhead, any other conditions, cost that could roll into this item. Okay. So I'm going to now kind of show you around a little bit of the recipe card now that we kind of showed you the end result. So here we have that it's a certified recipe. Here we have the actual cost. We could actually click in and see what comprises that cost. So once again, this is a less graphical view, but a more actual view of we're purchasing these items, we're making this item, we're making this item, we're purchasing this item. There's the cost. Automatically gets brought over from the inventory control system. Down here we have the details of what we talked about in the HACCP plan, the instructions for the roll, the labeling, a video, which I'll show you in a second because it's pretty cool. Notice on the side we have some additional details. So for example, here are the allergens. So if I click here, here is the wheat allergen coming from the sub roll. I'm also going to show you a little bit of the nutritional data before I go to the video. So here we have the nutritional data. Let me just shrink this up. So here's the total nutritionals, and let's see what's generating the fat. So it's the bologna, ham, and mayo are generating the fat that ultimately rolls up to the total recipe. Once again, you do not have to use all this stuff, but ultimately it is here for the long term. I mentioned the video before, is sort of interesting. So your organization can create and embed a video that can be showed on a phone, a tablet, really any device, as part of maybe a training exercise. So an employee could bring up their phone, a volunteer could bring up their phone, play this video on their phone to see what it looks like. So basically, I'm just going to click on play video. And it is taking you through a video of how to make a sandwich. Now, obviously, I just pulled one up on the internet. Sorry, there's no gloves on. You wouldn't really want to use this. But you kind of get the idea of actually creating a video embedded into the recipe card of what it actually looks like that can be, once again, viewed as needed by the additional staff. So, sort of interesting. All right, so I think the one last thing that I'm going to do is let's make a change to this recipe, because that's a common question. Hey, we're going to add some turkey to it. Let's see what happens. It's been a chest. So normally you might copy it and save it off and go from there. I'm just going to make a change real time for the moment. I'm going to put this back to under development. And then I'm essentially going to navigate down to the replenishment into the bill of material. Note there's some additional inventory information here, the cost, the quantity on hand. I actually have some on hand, so you can drill into here. You can actually drill almost everywhere in the software. You can see here we have some sales of the items, some assembly, some of the lot numbers we have. So here we output 1,000 of them at some point, sold 225, so on and so forth. But we're not going to really worry about that right now, because we're going to add some turkey. So it's really pretty easy. I'm simply going to come down here. I'm going to type in turkey. You have to know how to type a little bit. These are all the different turkeys that I have. Let's put this boar's head turkey. And just to accentuate the change to costing, we're going to put a ½ pound of turkey on here. Man, this is going to be great. We actually saw the cost of the turkey in the line item. We're going to certify this, and then we're simply going to rerun the BOM cost share distribution. And wow, the sandwich now costs $5.81, and the turkey is really generating a bunch of that cost. And then ultimately we'll end with, now it's time to reprint the recipe to put it to the floor. Once again, we'll do that 100 volume. And here we have the new sandwich with, of course, the turkey, all 50 pounds of it for 100 sandwiches. So once again, that is the quick view around the recipe card. If you have any additional questions, please let us know. And once again, pretty configurable, pretty easy to get around. And thank you for your time. Take care.